Hello and welcome to the Children's Link presentation of Grow and Learn for the Community Social Services Organization in Chestermere. My name's Lorna Seelig and I'm the team lead for the Transition Services Program at the Children's Link Society. I want to introduce my colleague, Susan Cortez. Susan, you want to hop on and say hello?
Hello, everyone. My name is Susan Cortez. I am the lead family support worker here at the Children's Link Society.
We're glad you could join us here today for our presentation, and it's always such a pleasure to work with the fine folks at Community Social Services out in Chestermere. It's we like to have referrals back and forth and connect people with services and systems in the community so that families feel supported and feel more equipped to move through the various stages and developmental processes for their young people. So I'm going to start with a land acknowledgement, if I could please. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that we live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, the Tsuut'ina and the Iahe, Nakota Nations, the Métis Nation Region 3, and all the people who make their homes in Treaty 7 in the southern Alberta region. We recognize this land as an act of reconciliation and gratitude to those whose territory we reside on and are visiting. We are all treaty people. Okay, Susan, do you want to jump in?
Sure. So the Children's Link Society is a grassroots organization. It was founded in 1997 by a group of parents that would meet actually at the old Alberta Children's Hospital and connect and find out about new resources and supports. The challenges were that there weren't enough sort of connections in the community. So that's how the start of the Children's Link started. We are a nonprofit organization. We believe in the potential of all children to be great and empower all families to hope and dream. Our organization provides resources, information, parent-to-parent connection, and hope for families and professionals in the disability community.
Thanks, Sue. So some of the services that we provide to families and professionals and individuals in the community is, so we support families to apply for FSCD, which stands for Family Supports for Children with Disabilities. As well, we make referrals and assist parents to access other kinds of support agencies in Calgary. So we have resource listings for services such as preschools, recreation activities, respite, counseling, speech therapies, physiotherapies, behavioral aids, community aids, and much, much, much more. Our database and the listings of resources on our website is very, very, very extensive and built from years and years and years of working in this community with families and individuals who have members with disabilities. We promote the natural supports between families and their connections. We have coffee socials, which means parents can come together. Now we're doing it virtually, but parents come together and talk about, the struggles and the triumphs and the work and the connections and the details that are so important in raising families and specifically raising children who have special needs and whatever kinds of different learning challenges. So as the young children get older and move through teenagehood and up closer to the adult years, we are also able to offer assistance with that transition from children's services into adult services. So we work with families to put together their application forms for AISH and PDD and guardianship and trusteeship. For many, many families, this is a big, big process, just as it was in the early days of an early diagnosis when the families were looking for support to get family supports in place in the home. We also offer resource fairs and information workshops. Our resource fairs are around preschools, around recreation services, and then as well around the transition to adulthood. The resource fairs are a great venue of any number of services in the community. It's a bit like a trade show where people would come and showcase their programs, showcase their services that they have to offer. And families now, virtually, this past 18 months or so, it's been virtual. Families hop onto an online platform and they can pop into any virtual table and talk with the service providers and find out information about the services that they offer, the kinds of programs that are available. Additionally, with the workshops, Children's Link, the transition team, we offer workshops for parents to inform them about the processes for moving into adult services. So again, we just give a very brief background of what's PDD, what's AISH, and what's the process for guardianship and trusteeship planning. We offer one-on-one support over the phone, supporting parents if there's a particular struggle maybe that's gone on. We aren't counselors, but we can certainly connect you through to people who can offer that kind of service to you if it is a particularly trying time, or if there's, issues and risks that may be happening in your family and in your community right now. And we have an online database of resources. So again, that's something that we're super proud of, in that we can, connect families with services, quite honestly, across the province. We are working with family resource networks across the province, from Hinton down to Lethbridge and Medicine Hat and all points beyond, to help families access service. And while we don't particularly know the individual services that are available in the community, we certainly know the people in the community that do know those services. And so it's the Inclusion Alberta's, the family resource networks. And so just really assisting and supporting families to get connected up with the unique services that are available to them in their own communities. Susan, do you want to talk about family support?
Sure. So the family support team offers real help rooted in lived experience. So all of the family support workers that work at Children's Link had or have a child with a disability. So that's where it is that lived experience. So we might not know everything that you're dealing with, but we do definitely have some kinds of knowledge where we can support you or find the right place for you to get that support. In family support, I will get, usually people communicate by phone call, online submissions, emails, or in the past, stopping in our office and getting information that they might be curious about or looking for. Anything from helping apply for family support for children with disabilities, finding a recreation opportunity for their child, finding a school and finding out how to navigate the school system. We have an amazing database with over 500 plus resources, and we actually empower families to find the proper resources for themselves. We will let them know how to navigate our website, but from there, going forward, we really encourage families to find the right supports that they are looking for, that might work for them.
Awesome.
A little bit about our Conversation Cafe. So we have, we call them coffee socials, but they are also called conversation cafes. They are an amazing way to network and find out about new resources in the community. Having that parent to parent connection, a lot of families we find do not have a ton of natural supports. And it's really amazing when we start talking about that. And we've seen parents reach out to other parents and connect with them, whether they end up going for a coffee or going for a walk together or getting their children together. It's really amazing to see that natural support and know that they are going to show compassion for one another and empathy and connecting and a sense of belonging in the community.
I think you bring up a good point there, Susan, where um, many families feel isolated when they have a young person with a disability, because they might not know anybody who's in the same kind of boat as them. And so you're absolutely right. These coffee socials and these conversation cafes, they are a forum for parents across the province to connect with each other and talk about, the really crazy stuff that's potentially going on in the home, or the stressful stuff, or but also to talk about the victories and the triumphs
And the
and the successes
celebrations.
and the fun things, right?
Yeah.
Because those two are moments, I think, in our family life that really need to be honored and celebrated. And I love that you mentioned about empowering families to sort of step forward and choose some of the resources and choose some of the services for themselves. And also, not everything that's going to work for this particular family is going to fit for another family or for another child or young person. And so, super important for parents to really kind of understand what it means to advocate for their young person, and to be strong and solid in some of those decisions that they make about their young people, recognizing that it's not always the same for everybody. And with our online database, there's so many services out there that people have the beautiful opportunity of choice. Don't you agree, Susan?
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. And it's, the worst thing well, one of the things that we don't want to do is we don't want to not encourage families to use our database or to connect with us. We want them to reach out and give us a call or send us an online submission or an email, come into our office so we can chat and find out. Often what happens is parents will phone for one thing and we end up talking about many things. And there's things that they might not even have thought about asking. And we can talk about those things and sort of give them some sort of guidance. But we
Mhm.
really do empower parents because we don't want to enable them by doing the work for them.
Yeah. And two, the interesting thing about you and the family support team, Susan, is that you know those unique questions to ask because you've been there, right? Sometimes if a parent or a family is having a conversation with maybe a medical professional that is only looking at a specific aspect of a young person's life, or someone else, another professional in the community, again only looking at a single aspect of or a single piece of this family life. Our family support workers, they've been there, so they know all of the other stuff that needs to fall into place for a family system to really work. Isn't that true, Susan?
Yes, it really is. And having that person just to listen
Mhm.
to them and be sort of a sounding board is so important because a lot of
Yeah,
families don't have that. And there's such a sense of loneliness when you don't.
yeah, I love it. Thanks, Sue. Okay, I want to talk just quickly here, if I could, about transition services. So once the kids in families have sort of are moving through the teenage years, it's often a very scary time for families, and sometimes families actually really feel a little bit of a re I don't know if the word is a re-diagnosis, but families feel almost there's sometimes this thought that, oh well, if we can just get to 18, through these children's years with this young person, everything will be okay. And as we move into those teenage years, it becomes clearer and clearer to parents and families, holy smokes, this isn't going to change. My young people, or my young person, really does need continued and ongoing supports. And how is that all going to look? Many families are connected with the Children's Hospital, and again, as Susan had mentioned, with FSCD. And when all of those fantastic services are coming to a close, it seems, the ceiling is being lowered, and parents are concerned. Oh my gosh, what do we do now? And our transition team at the at Children's Link really helps provide families with the next steps in terms of how to help their young person and themselves sort of maneuver through that adult service system, which many, many times is massive and overwhelming and confusing. And um, we meet with families, and now we're doing it over Zoom and doing it online, but we can meet with families to get the paperwork done. That oftentimes is the biggest stressor, the biggest barrier for people who are aging out of the children's services system. And our team really is able to help to alleviate that worry, alleviate that stress. And we kind of come at it with the message that it's okay, we'll help you get through this. And when we get to the other side of all this paperwork, come back around to us and we can talk about plans for the future. What's going to happen to your young person when they're 21, 25, 30 years old? And we can point you in the direction and work with PDD to get you organized in and around some very specific services and support systems in the community for your young people. After they finish high school, there's a huge span of time that needs to be filled. And the transition services team, we can really help you get the paperwork done and get you set up for those adult services, and then point you in the direction of the services that are available in the community. Now, because our work in and around the guardianship and trusteeship application is quite time intensive, in the last 6 months, Children's Link has actually started charging a fee for that service, and we call it our fee for service, obviously, and it's $250 to work through the guardianship and trusteeship applications with you. So we do have a fee assistance program. If your family does need to access that service, we can certainly walk you through the process for paying a reduced rate. Our services, we never turn anybody away. Our services are there to fit your needs. So yeah, I think that's all I'll say about that transition services. Again, as Susan had mentioned earlier, we're available 5 days a week, and please do reach out to us and talk with us about what your particular needs might be. As well, we're accessible on email too, and all those links and numbers can be found on our website.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just going to mention one more thing too,
Yeah.
Lorna.
Yeah.
The transition process is a grieving. It's another grieving process for families. And the great thing about Lorna and her team is they really alleviate some of that, not the grief, but the stress of doing the applications. And it just it just makes parents feel a little bit more relieved. And that's what we want, because when you get those applications, and before Children's Link was doing those applications, oh my golly, you would look in those booklets and you think, where do I start?
Yeah.
So it really alleviates that stress, especially when parents are grieving.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Susan. It's true. Yeah. And
So
we see that a lot. Sorry, I'll just add on to that. We see that a lot. It does bring up that grief. It does bring up those tears, those those disappointments and that the dream for our children and our young people that's changed. It doesn't matter that it's not it doesn't mean it's not awesome, and it doesn't mean that it just means that it's different than what we had anticipated. So thanks for bringing that up, Sue. That's a good point.
yeah, so we do encourage you to reach out into our community resource database on our website at www.childrenslink.ca. We have a fantastic updated weekly community calendar, and we get a lot of compliments about that, and it takes off the stress for parents if they're looking for a new summer camp. What's available, what's not, is something online, is it in person? It's always up to date, and that can be a big help for families in whether it's Calgary or surrounding area. We also have a learning center. We have how to apply for family support for children with disability videos. We also have some great transition videos that Lorna presents. And it's just a really good way to find out a little bit more information, say, before you go into a workshop. It's helpful, and it's it just helps everybody before you go into it. And lastly, I just want to let people know that we are on Facebook. We get tons of compliments. Our Facebook page is full of resources and information, and we have quite a few followers, and people really, really appreciate what's on there. We have a newsletter that comes out, I think it's monthly or every second month. And that also is very helpful for families. And we spotlight new resources in the community. And
Instagram, do you want to mention?
we're also on Instagram and Twitter. And that is also great information and resources for families.
Excellent. Thanks, Susan. So if you have questions, so again, Susan's information is listed here, as is mine. And we have a fabulous team of individuals that help us to support families and the community professionals. If you're looking for a particular service or a particular type of service, or maybe if you don't really even know what you're looking for, we can certainly help ask the questions to bring that clarity to people. So Susan's information is here, susan.cortez@childrenslink.ca. That's how you can reach her by email. And mine is lorna.seelig@childrenslink.ca. And again, please do reach out to us. We're available and certainly there to help.